Oops. Hi, fellow plant people. Welcome back if you're coming back. If you're new, my name is Jen, and I go by The Leafy Geek, here also on Instagram. And I got some more seeds accidentally. I recently posted my 100th video on YouTube in which I did some plant chores, answered some questions sent in by you wonderful people. Thank you so much for that. If you haven't checked out that video, I will have that linked up here and down here. In that video, I also shared a couple of items that I had purchased in order to help with my seed starting process. As you can see, this wonderful ambiance I have behind me is my seed setup for my gardens this year. We're going to get to that in a second. I'm going to show you an update about what's going on over there. It's pretty cool. In that other video that I posted, I purchased and shared some greenhouse tools and that I'm going to be able to use to help kind of transition my seedlings from that controlled environment out into the wilderness and to the elements and everything like that. So please go check out that other video if you want to just kind of hang out with me there and see what we did for my 100th video. But that video and that haul got me thinking about my seeds and showing you kind of what's going on over there. But also, I just received a package in the mail from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. I know, you guys, I have purchased so many seeds this year. I purchased more than I'm actually going to be planting. It's kind of become a bit of a obsession. It's not an obsession. It's just, I've purchased a lot of seeds. And building up your seed library is nothing to, be ashamed about in my mind, because you can store seeds if you know how to do that, and you'll be able to use and reuse what you have left over for years to come. That's great. And there are definitely some varieties that I really wanted to try this year that I couldn't, necessarily find in my hardware store or in my local, garden center necessarily. So the online seed purchasing opens you to a wonderful array of possibilities. So I have one more seed haul to share with you. It's a small one. So I'm going to share these with you and kind of share with you how they're going to incorporate into my garden plan, and then I'm going to show you those guys. So there were 4 different seeds that I ordered in this particular order, and then of course with Baker Creek you get the free seed packet with every order. My free seed packet is a duplicate. I did receive this white Tomasol tomato variety in a previous order, but that's okay. This is one that I'm not growing this year. I'm going to grow it next year or try next year. I have just too many tomato varieties that I wanted to try this year. But I'll give this one a go next year. And now I have double the amount of white Tomasol. So that's just fine with me, that duplicate. Speaking of tomatoes, I did order a cherry variety of tomato, but this is going to be a fun one for me. This is called Bosque Blue Bumblebee tomato, and it grows 2-inch orbs, so smaller, but per the seed packet, it says they are brilliant blue, maturing to a golden yellow with blue shoulders. So this is kind of the mature picture of that tomato. They're a cross, I read, between Amy's Sugar Gem and blue tomato. So it's an interesting cross. Looking for something kind of sweet to grow. My grandmother loves, they're called, I think, lemon drop tomatoes that are like a yellow cherry. So I wanted to grow something similar for her, but a little bit interesting for me. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grow this one. We'll see if she likes it. I hope she likes it. It's reputed to be a really delicious variety. Next veg is something that I've been looking for in terms of the variety. I've been kind of picky about this, and for a while I wasn't sure I was going to grow this type of vegetable, but it is a bean. This is the dragon tongue bean. As you can see, there's a reason I picked it, and it is because, I mean, a big part of the reason that I wanted this one was because of the appearance of it. So in this order, there are a couple of varieties of seeds that I had been interested in previously when I was shopping and purchased seeds previously from Baker Creek. However, at that time, they were out of stock. And so basically, 3/4 of this order are seeds that were restocked between my previous order and when I went back onto the site. So that's a big reason why I placed this order too, because they were varieties I was originally interested in, and so I couldn't help myself. This is one of them. So this is a dragon tongue bean. It is a bush bean. That's the growth habit for it, so it's not a vining trailing bean. It'll stay pretty compact, but it says that this one is a prolific producer, and you're supposed to pick them frequently in order to keep them productive, but they do produce at a rapid pace if you can keep up with that. So I'm going to try and get a few different plants, and I'd like to do some sort of like bean pole, just like a series of planters up a pole that I have outside that I think they will do well from. So I'm going to try and grow a bush bean variety here. But yeah, I've been very picky about the type of bean that I wanted to try growing. I did have a bush bean, but it's several years old at this point, and it hadn't produced, or it hadn't germinated last go around. So glad to have this. Okay, the remaining 2 seed packets in my order are flowers, and we'll start with this one. This is an African daisy. This is the blue disc variety, aptly named for the blue eye in the center, but I do have quite a bit of color going on, so I thought it'd be interesting to throw in some white here and there. And I'd like to, white can be kind of flat in the garden, so things with different textures was what I was really looking for. So I think this is going to fit the bill on all sides. It does have a little bit of color, which I'm fine with, but I really love just the contrast of that smoky blue with the white going on there. So the blue disc African daisy, it's dog safe, so it can go in my garden, in my yard, and it's an annual, so the instructions are basically to sow it as you would other annuals. It's about 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. So I'm going to add this to the queue. The last seed that I picked up, obviously it's not in a pretty package like the others are. I did get another pansy. Again, this is one that was out of stock when I went to make my previous purchases, and then it got restocked, and I was like, all right, I'll grow another pansy, sure. So this is the brushstrokes variety of pansy, and it's beautiful. It's this mottled, painted looking coloration on it, tangerine, and like this purpley burgundy color. So that'll be fun. I'm thinking about doing that and putting these pansies in planters. I'd like to have some, if I have several pansies that have germinated already that have the color scheme that I'd like to put down in my flower bed, but I'd like to grow some pansies on my patio. I think those plants will do amazingly well either in planter boxes or in pots up on my patio, because it gets light, during the course of the day, usually towards the beginning and the end of the day, and then it's bright shade on my patio. So I think they'll love it there. So I'm excited to grow these. I've actually already started some. I germinated, or I added these to the stash today, and they are in soil. Hopefully will germinate. So that's my last seed haul from Baker Creek, and hopefully for the rest of the season. I think I'm done for a while purchasing seeds. All of these, with the exception of this extra freebie here, all of these are going to be incorporated into what I'm planning to grow this year. So they will have their turn. This one has already been sown, but these will all have their turn when, as we kind of get through the weeks here on my planting and sowing calendar. So let me show you what's going on over there because it's pretty cool. So I had to turn off all of the grow lights in order to film this for you because you weren't going to see anything that that tone of the light or that color, where it is on the color spectrum is not camera friendly. So I currently am holding my little handheld tripod with a grow light clipped to it, shining onto my seedlings for you. So hopefully this works out. So I'm going to show you this side first. This whole shelf is set up in a kind of a doorway space or a passageway space between my kitchen and my office slash front door. And I did it that way just because I liked the idea of kind of having some natural light pass through on one side. I know we're kind of far away from the windows, but it's something that, every little bit helps. I have my grow lights, but it's nice to kind of get some natural light in there too. I have currently three shelves with things currently growing on them. I might expand and do one more. I think I might need the extra bottom shelf for some grow space. So might have to rearrange here in a little while because in the next couple of weeks I'm starting another big round of seed starts. So up top here, I've got some early vegetables. So I have fennel and leek up front. Leek is on this far side here. And then I've got some fennel, which is doing really well. And then my cruciferous starts. I've got cabbage and kohlrabi right here, and then there are more. There's some kale on the other side. Over here, this is kind of my early flower starts. I've got my snapdragons. This plant, this tamarillo plant, that is a type of kind of fruit producing bush, I guess. Kind of an interesting veggie fruit. I think it's a fruit. It reminds me of a tomato and a kumquat, so we'll just call it that. So got quite a few of those. I might have to thin those out. Actually, all of these seeds I have to thin out very soon. I have to weed out the best or the strongest ones and say goodbye to some of the other ones, which is always not fun. So I have some celosia started right here, 2 different varieties of that. And then my snapdragons. I've got 6 varieties of snapdragon. 1 dwarf, and then the rest are full size, so they'll get pretty tall. So there's another view of, this is the top shelf again, the view from the other side. And I've got more snapdragons on this side. Pretty much this whole front edge of this flat is snapdragons. And then over on this flat, I have the cruciferous vegetables that are kind of left over. I had a few on the other side. So I have collards and lacinato kale right here. Then I also, these are the jalapenos that came up. So I am going to be needing to get these thinned out as well. But yeah, they popped right up. And then I also have quite a few tomatoes. It's going to be kind of heartbreaking to let these go, but I'm going to have to thin these out. Everything needs as much room as possible in order to make sure that the seedling that is being, continued is the strongest one and just gives them space and breathing room so that they can continue to grow and grow up strong. So it's a necessity. It's sad, but it's a necessity. So these tomatoes that I have here, I've got Black Beauty, Black Crim, Orange Peach, and Aunt Ruby's German Green. And so quite a few to pick from there. All the way over here, I've got my 2 eggplant varieties that I'm going to be thinning out as well and growing. Probably 1 or 2 of each of these plants will make the cut. And then all the way over here, I've got 2 more okra. So that's the Okinawa pink okra that I'll be trying this year. Next shelf down, I have some squash and some okra that are growing in these individual biodegradable pots. So the things that don't want the roots disturbed, I wanted to make sure were planted so that when they are ready to go out into the garden, I would be able to just plop them in the ground and call it good. The okra is kind of extra. I didn't have room for it in the flat, so I do have a couple of okra up in the flats on this shelf right above, but I had an extra pot and I just popped some extra seeds in to see what they would do. And they all came up, so that's good. A lot of the extras I'm going to try and give away to friends and family in the area here, my local people. And then under here, this is the one that is currently germinating. Oh, and it looks like all of my sweet peppers and then my remaining hot pepper came up. I'm growing a Thai hot pepper this year and then 3 varieties of sweet pepper. And it looks like I have seedlings for all of them. And then my jalapenos had already come up. So that's brilliant. I'm excited for the peppers. And then right here, I've got 2 varieties of kale and chard that I started just yesterday. So those are currently cooking. All right, I didn't turn these lights off yet because I don't know why. They're easier on my eyes than the bright pink red. So we'll just do this now. Here we go. So if you can see through the grow lights there, I've got a bunch of pansies started. 4 different varieties here. Well, actually 5. So 4 that have sprouted. As you can see, the Black King and the Gem Apricot were really prolific. Those are the ones in the back. The ones up front here, the Lake of Tune, that one was a medium, I'd say. And then my Freckles, I think I have 1 plant. 1 plant there on the lower, the lower right little 6 flat there that germinated. So that's awesome. And just so you know, they weren't sitting like this the whole time. I've rotated them to see, because some came up and some didn't, I rotated them to see if the ones that hadn't come up yet just needed it a little bit darker, because pansies germinate in the dark. And nothing. So I don't know if I just missed the window, or I know that this, the Viola Freckles variety in the lower right corner here, that is a pretty low germination rate, so it looks true to form here. But if you have any recommendations for pansy starting, just let me know. I feel like I'm kind of batting 500 here. I had some pretty good success with some varieties getting them up and out of the ground. Then over there, I have pansy brush strokes, that variety of pansy that I also just planted yesterday. So the last plant I want to show you today are kind of interesting. They don't look like much right now, but I just got these delivered from Logi's, and they are roses. So I have 2 oh so easy Italian ice rose bushes that I am going to plant in my flower bed as perennials. So I wanted to get at least a couple of perennials in there, and these, or this variety of rose is basically pest proof, at least that's how it's advertised, and they're super low maintenance. Oh, disease resistant. So maybe not pest resistant, but definitely don't have to spray them for like mildew or anything. So that's cool. Low maintenance is my style. But I did want some perennial dog safe plants in that flower garden, and roses are kind of where it's at. So got 2 of the oh so easies, and then 1, if you can see that one's in the best shape out of them all, I think. 1 Ringo. So this is also a landscape rose. That's kind of what it does. Beautiful coloring on that. Just a bright kind of pop of kind of that salmon-y, peachy, yellow ombre. I love it. I love it a lot. So let's hope I can keep these alive until May, huh? All right, you guys, thank you for coming with me on this little seedling update. It's definitely not going to be the last seed update you'll get from me. There's plenty more to do in that department. So I just wanted to say thank you again for watching. If you haven't subscribed and you would like to, please do so down below, or just send me a comment. Let me know what you're growing, what your seed setup looks like. So until next time, everybody, enjoy your plants, enjoy what you're growing.